This presentation analyzes the responses of participants at the Transportation Assets and Barriers workshop held in Glenwood on March 4th and a random sample survey sent to Glenwood residents. The information in the following slides aims to inform the Glenwood Visioning Committee and design team during the design process. We conducted community focus groups and sent a random sample survey to 445 Glenwood households. The quantitative data collected from the survey responses complement the qualitative information gathered at the focus groups. Different transportation users have different needs and priorities. Older adults want access to local services. Active recreationists want to be challenged while engaging in physical activity. Parents are concerned for the safety of their children. Mobility challenged individuals want smooth surfaces and safe traffic crossings. Youth want complete sidewalks and safe traffic crossings. We conducted focus groups with people from each of these demographics to obtain a complete picture of the transportation system in Glenwood. All user types travel around Glenwood by driving and walking. Older adults, youth, parents, and actives ride bikes to get around. Parents and mobility challenged individuals utilize the Southwest Iowa Transit Agency bus services. Youth enjoy using roller skates to get around town. Focus group participants were asked what they consider community assets. Almost every group appreciates the wide, smooth, accessible sidewalks in the Hickory Ridge neighborhood, Downtown Square, and the Glenwood Research Center. Most groups also enjoyed trees and the access to nature that the Downtown Square, Glenwood Lake Park, the cemetery, and the Research Center provide. Glenwood Lake Park is popular among all user groups. Youth, parents, mobility challenged individuals, and actives enjoy walking and running on the trail around the lake. Older adults like the amphitheater, and mobility challenged individuals appreciate the accessibility of the amphitheater and bathrooms. Actives also appreciate the natural scenery afforded by the park. Although this is a popular destination, older adults and actives note that getting to the park is challenging without a car. During the focus groups, participants identified undesirable features in town. All groups voiced concerns about the lack of adequate sidewalk infrastructure around the town, specifically the high curbs, limited curb cuts, and sidewalks on only one side of the street, especially along Sharp and Locust Streets and north of the elementary school. Most groups were concerned with congestion during school pickup and drop-off, especially at the intersections of Locust and Sharp, 4th and Vine, and Sharp and Lynn Streets. Residents also spoke about challenges associated with the hilly landscape in Glenwood, including limited visibility and seasonal issues with ice and snow, especially on Lynn Street. Actives, older adults, and youth also mentioned limited lighting at the parking lot of Glenwood Lake Park, Sharp Street, and the Keg Creek pedestrian bridge. Also acknowledged was the lack of crosswalks and traffic controls to manage fast traffic on East Sharp Street. Finally, focus group participants had the opportunity to tell us what changes they wanted in Glenwood. All groups wanted to expand the trail system around Glenwood to connect various destinations, like the Downtown Square, Glenwood Lake Park, and the State Preserve. Some groups suggested a regional connection to the Wabash Trace Nature Trail. Residents would appreciate an updated, complete, and accessible sidewalk system throughout town, specifically calling out major pedestrian spaces such as Elm, Locust, and Sharp Streets, and Sivers Road. Safe routes to school was a major theme among all groups. Participants suggested stoplights and pedestrian crossings on Sharp, replacing the bridge over Keg Creek, and creating a connection between the middle school and the north neighborhood. Lastly, actives and youth would like to make Glenwood more welcoming for visitors and residents by beautifying Locust Street, wayfinding and interpretive signage, and upgrading community entrances. In addition to the focus groups, we distributed a random sample survey to 445 households. Understanding what types of improvements are important to residents gives the committee insight on how to prioritize projects. The information summarized here includes respondents' willingness to help, their enhancement priorities, preferred commuting, biking, and walking routes, and qualities they desire on their biking and trail routes. 39% of respondents indicated they were willing to help with the visioning process, whether this be volunteering time, money, or both. How do we get people to help? According to an ISU study of small Iowa towns in 2014, a common reason residents said they didn't become involved in community projects was that no one asked them. Others indicated they didn't know how to become involved. These results show that the best way to get people involved in the community projects is to simply ask them, along with advertising opportunities through traditional and social media outlets. On a scale of 1 to 5, With 5 being most important, participants in Glenwood ranked increased accessibility for seniors as the most important type of transportation enhancement. Other enhancements that address pedestrian mobility, safety, and health are also considered important, like better night use and safer routes to school. Regarding the built environment's quality, survey respondents consider habitat for birds and pollinators most important, followed by enhanced seasonal beauty. Most survey respondents drive to important destinations such as the grocery store, post office, school, and church. More than 25% carpool or ride with someone else. Around 9% of participants said they walk, and 1.4% bike to their destinations. This map shows the commuting routes identified by 54 survey respondents. The frequency that the routes are used is depicted by their width, with the most frequently used routes being the thickest. The primary commuting corridors into and out of Glenwood are the Loess Hills Scenic Byway on Locust Street, Lynn Street, which transitions to 230th Street, and Sharp Street, which transitions to Hillman Road. On a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being the most important, survey participants ranked the characteristics and features that factor into their choice of commuting route. Among Glenwood participants, time to destination was the most important factor. Avoiding weather-related issues such as snow and ice is also a somewhat important factor when determining commuting routes. This map shows the walking routes identified by 47 survey respondents. The frequency that the routes are used is depicted by their width, with the most frequently used as the thickest. Survey respondents indicated that Glenwood Lake Park is the most popular walking location. People also like to walk around the Activities Complex on Cybers Road, 4th and Lynn Streets, and on Fairview Drive. North Vine Street between 6th and East Sharp Streets is another frequently used route. On a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being the most important, survey participants ranked the characteristics and features that improve their walking experience. These features are categorized as either connections or conditions and elements. Glenwood respondents considered connections almost equally important determinators of their walking routes as conditions and elements. In terms of connections, access to trails is most important, while the quality of sidewalks is the most significant condition or element. This map shows the biking routes identified by 15 survey respondents. The frequency that the routes are used is depicted by their width, with the most frequently used as the thickest. Like walkers, cyclists frequent Glenwood Lake Park, and the streets adjacent to the park, like Lake Drive, Cybers Road, and East Sharp Street. Parts of Green and Coolidge Streets are also well used. Some people also bike around the high school and aquatic center. On a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being the most important, survey participants ranked the characteristics and features that improve their biking experience. These features are categorized as either connections or conditions and elements. Glenwood participants consider conditions and elements slightly more important than connections and find well-maintained surroundings the most important factor. In terms of connections, access to trails is also important. On a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being the most important, survey participants ranked the characteristics and features that improve their trail experience. These features are categorized as either connections or conditions and elements. Conditions and elements are more significant factors to Glenwood trail users than connections. Well-maintained surroundings are most important to trail users, followed by the presence of trees and shade and restrooms. If you have any questions about this presentation on the community visioning process, contact the members of your local visioning committee or check us out on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. A complete set of assessment presentation boards can be found on the Glenwood webpage at www.communityvisioning.org/Glenwood.